Hello to you all. I just firstly wanted to apologise that we weren't able to get together this year for understandable reasons at the college for our Going to Godalming Parents' Evening. As a result, we've put together this video to share with you the content virtually. So I hope you're able to find a moment to sit down in the comfort of your own home and watch the presentation until your heart is content. Firstly, I'm going to talk through with you just a little bit more about the purpose of this PowerPoint and the purpose of us putting this together for you. And essentially that's threefold. Firstly, so you can find out more about our approach to teaching and learning and student support. And that's why you will predominantly hear from Ollie Stevens, who's our Deputy Principal. He's in charge of curriculum and quality, under which obviously teaching and learning sit. And then you'll also hear from Carol Horlock, who is our Assistant Principal for Student and Staff Development. Really, we see this further information as part of developing our relationship with you, because we think it's crucial and that we work in partnership with you as parents and carers to support your son or daughter during their time here at Godalming. And obviously this further information we hope will be useful for you to help you support your son or daughter as they move from school to college. And obviously, we think that's even more crucial this year because, look, we're acutely aware of the difficult circumstances that we're all operating in. Year 11 students nationally had a very abrupt end to their GCSE year. And that then involved their grades now being calculated in a slightly different way. But we just wanted to say that we will do all we can to ensure a very smooth transition as students join us for the start of next academic year. But before I hand over to Ollie, I just wanted to really recap why Godalming. And if you've come to watch one of my open evening PowerPoint presentations or you've heard from me at course advice session, you will have heard me acknowledge that you're very lucky in this part of the country in terms of choice for post-16 provision. And obviously we are delighted that you've chosen Godalming. And I just thought I would re-emphasise some of the key strengths of the college. For students, we provide a fresh start in a more adult environment. We provide that stepping stone between school and the next step, whatever that may be, whether that be university, onto employment or onto an apprenticeship. We place a very big emphasis here on learning, and we help students to get better at the process of learning as well as learning the content that they need to for each of their subjects, because we're passionate about ensuring that students achieve their potential. You may have heard that we had a visit from Ofsted back in December of 2019, and we were delighted that they once again confirmed that the college is outstanding in its provision. And we've been outstanding for well over a generation now at Godalming. So you can rest assured that your son or daughter will have the very best experience here at college. And overall, we work on our vision every day, and our vision is quite clear and quite simple: to be a successful, vibrant learning community. So I'm now going to hand over to Ollie, who will tell you a lot more about curriculum and teaching and learning.
Hello everybody, my name is Ollie Stevens and I'm Deputy Principal of the college. I just wanted to talk to you today about a few things to do with timetabling, courses, our enrichment programme, and also expectations we have of students surrounding their approach to learning. So just to kick off, timetables and courses. At Godalming College, students can choose a huge range of subjects and any combination of subjects can work, and this provides ultimate flexibility for students, which means that they're on the right courses, the ones they're interested in, the ones they enjoy. And at Godalming, students, and elsewhere really, students are encouraged to study 3 core courses only. Some students hark back to the days when you could take 4 subjects over 2 years, but increasingly with the reformed A-levels and BTECs, this is just not possible. 3 subjects is more than enough for students to be getting on with. The only exception to this is for students who are very, very good at mathematics and choose to do the double mathematics A-level, or further maths as it's called. This may warrant 2 other A-levels on top of the double maths, but otherwise all students will be taking 3 core courses. On top of that, we have an enrichment programme, and we really encourage students to take part in that, as I'll explain more in a moment. So the average student, for example, might take 3 core courses. So in this example, they may take art photography A-level, media A-level, philosophy A-level. They will then do an enrichment. This student is doing a plus explore enrichment, as I'll explain in a moment. And then they also have got a personal tutor who has a pastoral overview of how they're getting on. And so a timetable for your average student may look like this. So timetable starts at 8:45 and it finishes at 4:15. And you'll see in this timetable, these blocks with writing in are the timetable. And for each subject, they would get 4.5 hours of contact time. And the personal tutor would have 45 minutes, as you can see on Monday at 11:30, to see their personal tutor. And we're like school in that respect. So students are expected to come in and attend those lessons. They will be registered. And if they're failing to meet deadlines, then obviously we will intervene and support them to try and turn things around. So the periods with numbers in are private study periods. And these private study periods number from 1 to 19. They're 45 minutes each. But students aren't monitored and registered in those private study periods. It's very much up to the student to start to organise and plan their week to ensure that they're meeting the expectations, meeting their homework requirements, and ensuring that they're learning to their full capacity. So just a little bit now about our Plus Enrichment overview. So enrichment's really important to us at Godalming College. It allows students to meet new people. It opens their eyes to new possibilities, things they may not have considered, and also is for very competitive destinations like universities and employers, for example. They will want to know, well, what else have you been doing apart from your core courses? How have you been getting involved with the college? And so encouraging students to take part in our enrichment programme is really important. And we kind of separate our enrichment programme into 3 areas: plus explore, plus active, plus qualifications. It really is a very comprehensive enrichment programme. And so essentially what happens is the lower 6th in their first year have got the choice of taking one of 3 pathways. Now, in reality, they could take several pathways if they're really interested in various areas, but we recommend at least one pathway that a student would take. So our Explore pathway here consists of a 9-week course, essentially, which can cover a wide range of different subjects, and there's a whole sort of selection of overarching categories here. But for example, under health and well-being, we have got run 5k, yoga, 5-a-side football, and then under business and technical development, we've got other things such as animation and website design. We've got practical podcasting. We've got all sorts of different things that students can get involved with. And this may complement their existing courses or may just be something completely different to give them a different perspective. And students will typically choose 2 of these courses, one running from October to Christmas and then one from January to Easter. And they're only 90 minutes a week. There's very little homework. They're very, very easy to do alongside their core courses. Then we have a qualifications pathway, and there are 2 qualifications here for students maybe with the Arts Award who are very into their arts to follow, and we feel that this qualification is achievable alongside 3 core courses. Or they may wish to do something a bit more mathematical, and core maths is a good qualification for this. Core maths is harder than GCSE, but not as hard as A-level. And so it's very useful for those subjects where there may be a mathematical element in the A-level, or for future actually at university. And I'm thinking about subjects such as psychology, economics, business maybe, where core maths might be useful. And then the third pathway is your Plus Active. This is the kind of traditional enrichment program that most colleges will have. And in terms of that, we've got plenty of sports teams with our amazing facilities. We've got our class action theatre group that put on performance opportunities and also run masterclasses and workshops. We have our music ensembles, and also we run the Duke of Edinburgh scheme for gold and silver. Then in the second year, students are encouraged to continue with their enrichment, and we have our Plus Qualifications pathway. And for those students who are wanting to go to competitive destinations, there are a whole heap of qualifications here that they can do alongside their subjects, which should be achievable. So, for example, one of the most popular is the EPQ, or Extended Project Qualification, that students can do in their second year, and universities really, really love this qualification. Mental health and fitness. There are a selection of lower sixth explore courses such as Art for All, five-a-side football, yoga, just to enhance the second year experience and to make them mentally fit and healthy. We have an employment and apprenticeship workshop for those who are keen in going straight into employment or apprenticeships. And finally, for those students who maybe are struggling a little bit, maybe not achieving the grade they would like at the end of the first year, we have specific department workshops they can sign up to. And also we run a learning coach program, which is where students can take part with others to reflect on their study skills and improve them, with a bona fide coach there to help them improve their study skills. So what is our approach to learning at college? It is different to school, and it is a different environment. We treat students like young adults, and therefore that comes with expectation. And so what we have done is to prepare students for the courses that they've chosen at the course advice sessions, and we've done this through the virtual G2G day which they attended, and also they have been able to do extra work which the subject departments have set to sort of enthuse the students further in their chosen subjects. And then when they come into college and they enrol in their courses, we will immediately set them induction tasks to do before their first lesson. And at college, we have what we call the 50-50 ethos or mantra. And just to explain this in a nutshell, essentially at school, 80% of a student's learning kind of happens in the classroom. Therefore, the 20% probably happens outside with homework, etc. At Godalming, though, it kind of moves to 50-50. So 50% of learning happens in the classroom and 50% of learning happens outside the classroom. And I think students often struggle with the transition from GCSE to A-level because they're going from 8 to 10 subjects to down to just 3. And some have the mistaken thought that, oh, that's so easy compared to the 8 to 10 I was doing. But obviously the content is in more depth and the level in which they're learning is at a higher level. And therefore 50% of consolidation outside and making sure they understand the concepts that are being taught in the lesson is vital. I hasten to add here, 50-50 doesn't mean 50% of the specifications in the class and the students get on with the rest of the specification. That's not what it means. It means that the expectation of the student outside of class is that they're doing as much hourage, if you like, of learning outside as they are doing inside. So a typical subject would have 4.5 hours in lessons. A student would then be expected to do 4.5 hours outside per week. And it's important we set those parameters for students because then they're able to start to develop their habits and routines to ensure they can keep up to speed with everything that's going on and don't feel overwhelmed. And that's really part of our transition period, as I'll talk about, and Carol, the assistant principal, will talk about later. So, equipment, kit list, back to school shopping, or back to college shopping in this case. There are a few things we would recommend. Some of these seem really obvious, so bear with me on this, but I think it's important that we just lay down for you, as well as the students, what is expected in terms of kit that you might need. First of all, get one of these, big lever arch file at home to store students' notes. This is an archive folder which never leaves their workspace at home. And essentially, you don't want to be carrying that around campus all day. It will get lost, it's heavy, and it will get heavier as the year goes on. So that stays at home, and any archive notes are then filed neatly into that folder. On a day-to-day basis, what's in their college bag are cardboard foolscap folders, you know, the kind of thing. they only really need one of these with dividers in for each of their subjects, and they're good to go. Light, flexible, cheap. A pad with different dividers in to take notes, really, really useful, keeps them organised. And a selection of pens, obviously. That's it. That's the basics that they will need. On top of that, though, this year we are suggesting to parents and students that if they don't already have one, to try and get a personal mobile device or laptop, in other words, or maybe a tablet, appropriate tablet. And we will be providing more information to parents and students on this to give you guidance on where you can buy these. We've got some discounts with suppliers, and to get a basic laptop is roughly around £300. We also have a bursary scheme if that proves to be a problem for some of you, and it could be though that your son, daughter already has a mobile device that they're able to use. In terms of software, don't worry about that. Office 365 is what we use here at college, and that is available to every registered student. So they don't need to buy software for the laptop, they just need to get the laptop. And this laptop can be really useful because it's really useful for them to have a personal computer at home to work. So they're hopefully not sharing with other people. But also, teachers may occasionally say, can you bring a device in to complement what we already have in college in classrooms and around the campus? As I said, more information will be given to you to give you guidance on what the basic specifications are that we would recommend and how to go about purchasing one if you need to. And my last slide then is just to talk to you parents a little bit about assessment and feedback. Obviously at Godalming, we want to give more autonomy to the students. We want to encourage them to take responsibility for their own learning. But that doesn't mean that we therefore shun you and don't communicate with you in any shape or form. That is not the case. Whereas it's true that we deal with the student first, we also very much have in mind our partnership with you as parents. And so there are a series of things I just wanted to walk through with you to explain how we keep in touch. And often, obviously, we will keep in touch with you a lot more if we have got concerns about your son, daughter, how they're performing, and enable to support them further. So when students arrive, as I said, they will be set an induction task. And this is a bit of between you and me, a bit of a test for that student. Can they complete an induction task, meet a deadline for the department? So if they don't do that for the first lesson back, for the first lesson of teaching, then we have an early concern system, and that immediately flags up to the personal tutor that this student hasn't met the deadline. And this can be telling at first if a student hasn't done that. It suggests they need much more support in making the transition to A-level and BTEC learning. We then have a settling in parents' evening, which is after the first half term, where you then get to come in and meet the teachers who will have got to know your son or daughter over the previous sort of 6 to 7 weeks. And then we have got a series of benchmarks, reviews and action plans. So at various points, the teachers will record benchmark grades for students on how they're performing. And these benchmark grades may be made up of one-off tests or a series of small bits of work that have led up to a potential grade. And the teacher will be communicating that with the student. And if there's any issues, the teacher will be going via the personal tutor to raise concerns. However, we won't necessarily directly communicate those benchmarks with you until it comes to the student review. This is a bit like a report. It's a review of the student's progress since the last report, essentially. And the first one of these is in January, and it will give you a performance grade of how the student's doing, and also an approach to learning grade as well, as to how they've approached their learning. There'll also be a comment on there for you as well. And it's a really key moment to give you an indication of how things are going. And obviously, you will have been speaking to the teachers anyway in November. If before January, though, departments have got significant concerns, then and the student is significantly underperforming based on where they should be, then the department will place the student on a formal action plan. This is a supportive measure to try and reflect with the student on why things aren't going right, set a series of targets to set over the next 3 weeks for students to meet. And this will be formally emailed to parents to let them know that we have these worries and that we will be following up on them. Of course, a teacher may just informally get in contact with you, maybe to raise a concern or ask a question, but the action plans are a more formal procedure to make sure that you're fully aware that we have these concerns and to help us support that student in making steps to improve. At the end of the first year, we then have the annual review grade. This annual review grade is a grade for the first year, performance grade, which is made up of their progress in benchmarks. It's made up of their approach to learning. It's made up of things like attendance. Do they meet deadlines? This will all help to form their performance grade at the end of the year. And this is quite an important grade, because as I move on to the 5th bullet point here, it does give us evidence to suggest a predicted grade for that student for UCAS applications for university. That annual review grade is based on evidence from how the students perform that year. The predicted grade is then an aspirational, what do we think this student could achieve given that evidence? And that's finalised before the summer. And the reason that's finalised before the summer is so that the students have got time over the summer to research universities with their predicted grades, because when they come back in September, the application process moves very, very quickly. So we need that summer period for them to be researching universities. And a lot of our students do go to universities, so it's important that we have that all sorted before the summer. So that's it for me. And I'm now going to pass you on to Carol Horlock, who will talk to you about the pastoral side of the college. Many thanks.
Hi, thanks, Ollie. My name's Carol Horlock. I'm the Assistant Principal for Student and Staff Development. And in my role, I deal with just about everything, every aspect of what students have to do in their college life. So students starting at Godalming College have a big transition to make. They're leaving school, moving into a new environment, but the positive thing is that everyone is making that transition at the same time. So it's very much about how students and staff really are supporting one another. But for your sons and daughters, it starts with an enrolment interview, and that enrolment interview is so important in helping them to decide on the right courses which match their GCSE grades, whatever they happen to be. And we will take as long as we need to make sure that students are making the right choices. So that enrolment interview is followed by an opportunity to speak with departments, again, so that they can make sure they've made the right choices for them. Soon after enrolment, we then have induction, and that takes place on the first 5 Fridays of each teaching week. So 5 Fridays, and they'll meet their personal tutor twice a week in those initial 5 weeks, so that we can go through an induction program. We can talk about the vision. What do you want to get out of college? How are you going to manage to do it? What are you looking for? What support is there in college? How do you make the best of your lessons? All of those sorts of things. So that personal tutor is really there to meet them and greet them on those first 5 Fridays, as well as the personal tutorial session. But in addition, we'll get to know your sons and daughters, and I'll say a little bit more about that in the next slide. And of course, in that first week, every subject will be doing an induction. We'll be helping students to get to grips with the initial material and really the transition, again, from school, not having been in school for a while, into how to get going at this level 3 study. So I mentioned about personal tutor support. In the first 5 weeks, of course, personal tutors will be meeting with students twice a week, both on the normal tutor session and on Friday, but generally they meet once a week as part of a personal tutor group. The whole purpose is to help students get used to college, but also to do those one-to-one progress checks. So on a regular basis, we aim to talk to students about their experience at college. What's going well? What needs a little bit of work? Do you need to go into learning and study support to get a little bit of extra help? And it's that checking in and those progress checks which we find are really, really important in developing that working relationship. So that personal tutor will also be the first point of contact for you as parents and carers. feel it's absolutely vital that we are working in partnership with you for the benefit of the students. The personal tutor is also responsible for the delivery of our Shaping Futures programme, and this programme, I'll say a little bit more in the next slide, but it's all about helping our students to find their place in the world after college. So there's that support and guidance with those next steps beyond college is absolutely vital. And again, I'll say a little bit more when we talk about careers. So the personal tutors are supported by the senior tutors, and together they work to safeguard the welfare of our students. So we are looking, of course, at academic progress, but we're also wanting students to be able to do that in a healthy way. So as part of that, students need to understand that we're providing a lot, but they have a contract with us. And the reason we've created this contract is to focus students on what it takes to be successful. So they need to attend, they need to be on time and committed to all of their college obligations. So they need to produce work which reflects their best efforts and hand that work into the deadline set by staff. And the reason for that is then staff can then give feedback so students can then further improve their work in preparation for exams and coursework submissions. Really important for students to have their lanyard and student ID with them. It's a safeguarding issue. We need to keep them safe. They should also ensure that mobile phones are off in lessons so that they are not distracted and can engage completely in lessons. And again, in terms of engaging with their learning, then no alcohol or intoxicants of any kind are permitted. And I think you'd expect that. We want them to be responsible and considerate members of our college community. And as such, they need to show respect for each other and everyone who works in the college. And we've got a pretty good track record in that regard. So I mentioned the Shaping Futures programme. We cover a range of topics, but we make sure that it's relevant to the age group. We're not looking at a reprise of what they've done at secondary school. So if they say, I don't have to go to tutorial, I've seen it all before, no, they haven't. We are looking at what they need to do in order to prepare to be adults going out into the world. So part of that is all of the careers work, and that starts in the first year. So from January of their first year, we are already starting with careers work, and we use a platform called Unifrog, which supports their research and helps them to plan for their progression. And although it says Unifrog, it also supports in apprenticeships and employment. So it's a really, really good platform to help them. In addition to that, we've got some events, Safety Week and Wellbeing Week. We think it's important that young people are making good choices about how to keep themselves safe, and we want to put those resources in front of them, and about how to keep themselves well, both physically and mentally. Our careers support, well, our careers department is second to none. The head and assistant head of careers are qualified careers professionals. Therefore, all of our students will be able to access one-to-one careers advice. There is a coordinated programme of the careers guidance, which, as I said, takes place during Shaping Futures. And not only are we looking at university applications through UCAS, but also apprenticeships, employment, art foundation, drama schools, other specialist courses. And we put on extra events to help support that, such as Future Fridays, again, using that Friday morning to bring in guest speakers from universities, from employment, from gap year providers, to help put reference material in front of our students and help them make the decisions. We also run an apprenticeship and employment fair, which has been very, very popular, and the Aspire programme. So the Aspire programme is for students who are aspiring to make applications to Oxford or Cambridge or other competitive courses that require an extra level of application, be it a portfolio, an audition, an interview. So we not only help with the application process, we help with students understand why they should be making these applications, and help them with preparing for interviews, preparing for any additional tests that might be required, and building portfolios and things like that. It's a great program, and we can tell you more about that. I mentioned as well that health and well-being support. We know that students perform to the best of their ability when they are feeling well and when they're feeling in control. So we have a team of accredited counsellors who understand this teenage stage and understand the rigours of education. And it is about helping young people to cope, and cope they do. So we have that safe and confidential place to talk, because being a team is just hard sometimes. And we bring in pets as therapy, we have trained mental health first aiders, and we have a team just absolutely full of clued up staff who understand and who only want the best for our students. Part of that support and part of coping is understanding people's different learning needs, and how they might use our support to get to grips with the things that they're not quite sure about. So as well as, say, initial screening and assessments where appropriate, we have drop-in study support for all students. So anyone can come and say, I really don't know how to write a history essay at A level, please help me, and we will. We can also offer small group support, one-to-one support where necessary, and of course, where students need help and support in exams, then it is our learning and study support team that will do that too. Now, I've mentioned the word community before when we were talking about the contract, and I think that this is something that's really, really important. So Ollie has mentioned about enrichment and how important it is for students to have a broad range of interests, and I would echo that. It's really important for students to get involved, whether it would be through our Students' Union, affiliated with the National Union of Students, or perhaps starting a club. Matt Toogood could, as a Student Activities Officer, could help with that. Or perhaps volunteering, getting involved, or putting on a charity event. We're here to support those kinds of things too. And we know that students like to get involved, and we want to help them. Right, now I need to hand back to Emma.
Well, I hope you found that presentation useful and informative. I thought I would just end this presentation with a little bit of an update on where we are as far as COVID and the implications of that are concerned for the start of next academic year. As you may be aware, the Department for Education issued some updated guidance earlier this month, and we've been working our way through that. And we've been contingency planning. We have 2 timetables ready to go for the start of next academic year. Obviously, our normal timetable that we were operating right up until lockdown came into force. And then we've developed an emergency timetable, which is still based on our normal version. But it involves blended learning. So in short, that means some lessons would take place in college and some lessons remotely. Because in all of this, our priority has to be the health and safety of all members of the college community. So we will continue to keep the guidance under review, keep abreast of the ever-changing situation, and we will decide which of the 2 timetables we're going to adopt for the start of next academic year towards the end of the summer holiday. So we'll be in touch with you then to confirm our plans. I thought I'd also just mention GCSE results because obviously they have been calculated in a different way this year. But I wanted to tell you as much as you can, because I realise that GCSE results days are always an anxious day for students and for parents. Not to worry if you can. And from our perspective, we expect the GCSE results to be largely in line with last year. We really don't think that they will be wildly different. Your teachers, I'm sure, at school will have done the very best for your son or daughter as far as their results are concerned. There'll also be lots of help, support and guidance at enrolment too, so please try not to worry. I guess finally then from me, whatever scenario we face, we will do it with confidence. We've been very skilled in developing our approaches to remote learning over the last 3 to 4 months. We very much are proud of the provision that we have for our existing students, and we will continue to ensure, as ever, that whatever situation we find ourselves in, we will provide the very highest quality provision for our students. And so finally from me, we look forward to meeting all our new students in person soon, and we hope that all of you have an enjoyable summer and you keep safe and well. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this presentation informative. A reminder that there are frequently asked questions available on our website, but if you still have a question, email into college@godalming.ac.uk and somebody will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Thanks again for listening and all the very best. Bye-bye.